my 14 years of doing research. For those of you who might not know me, I'm actually just a psychologist. I've done extensive research into the dynamics of relationships. And I've classified human beings, or rather generally most of us, into two. People who are happy and people who are sad. Married. You see, generally, people who are happy are not married. Well, people who are married are not?
What?
Not sad.
They are not happy. See, that's the problem. Recent survey has been done by the Singapore government. Now, they take a very particular take on this. Divorces have gone up. Why? That's why I'm here to explain to you. Now, people generally have told me that there are three problems as to why they need to have a divorce. See, the first problem is that they cite it as intolerable differences. Take note, intolerable differences. Secondly, wrong communication, or rather the lack of communication. And lastly, wrong psychological information. I shall explain one by one. Firstly, intolerable differences. There was a story about this Sarawak girl who did not have any contact with men at all. And her family got her married one fine day. Upon the first night, not after they did what they had to do, the woman asked for a divorce. Now, what was the reason? Now, this is because the woman who was not exposed to civilization didn't know that men had to do their thing standing up. I'm sure most of you have gone to toilets before. Now, you know a man does his thing, which is peeing standing up, while a lady does it perhaps sitting down. Sit down. Of course, for James, your lady might be jumping around while doing that. But the thing is, she found it funny or weird, and she asked for a divorce because she cited it as intolerable differences. It was too intolerable. She found it weird, and she asked for a divorce. Now, that is one problem. It is when you do not know what your other partner is doing. You might be saying that your partner does not snore, but at the first night you realize that he snores even worse than a hippopotamus. That's bad. The second thing, and that is about the communication. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. It is imperative that you take note of this. Men expect women to think and feel. And so does women. Women expect men to think and feel. But here's the problem. Men think, yes, with their brain, but they don't feel with their heart. They feel with their hands. That is a big problem, you see, because if you want to commit yourself to a man, you have to find a man who is like that as a person, who thinks and feels, thinks with his brain and feels with his heart, but not thinks and then after that feels with his other anatomies of the body. Well, the man also would require that a woman thinks and feels, but most of the time, they will feel for you, yes. But when it comes to thinking, during the Great Singapore Sale, exactly, they think of themselves. They don't have that psychological thinking. So that is the second reason why sometimes people ask for divorces. And last but not least, wrong psychological information. This is important because you must take note. In this age of self-improvement, where there are Anthony Robbins' books, where there are Deepak Chopra's books, people are inclined to believe that all of them possess this thing called self-confidence. Now, this is where I can tell you where a problem might arise. If a woman were to say to someone like Edward Ma, perhaps, and say, "You think you are so handsome, is it? You got body hair, you know. You got sponge, you know. And you still think you want to go for a woman, ah? Go and see China there, find a mistress. You think you're handsome, ah?" Now, if you were to say that to a man in the olden days, he would cower and say, "Yes, I don't think I have that kind of look." But if you tell that to a 21st century man, he says, "Yes, I have that. I am handsome," because he read a lot of Anthony Robbins' books. See, that's the problem with psychological information. It creates false perception about yourself, especially to women also. A woman comes up, "Hubby, do you think I look sexy?" "Yeah, of course, I think you look sexy." "Yeah, you can just wear that G-string or whatever." They'll go and buy it, you see. So that's the problem. It is imperative that all of you know the limitations of these three things. First, like I said, it is important that you know the first thing. And what was the first thing I said just now?
Forgotten.
Exactly, I forgot. The second and third thing. The third thing was about the psychological information, lack of communication. The second thing was about not saying things properly or expecting different things when think and feel. So, if you want to avoid a problem such as divorces, you should take note of these three areas in order for you to avoid certain complications later. And here's a tip from someone who's also married. He says never to watch a wrestling show with your partner. Never to watch a wrestling show with your partner. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you were to bring your wife to watch a wrestling show, they'll learn one skill they use on you, the headlock. You see, whenever you don't bring your wife to a shopping center, that is what they'll do at night. They'll headlock you. So remember, these are the things that you must take into account in order to avoid the frustrations of being divorced. Because nowadays, it's not only the men who ask for divorce, even women will ask for divorce. Depending also whether your wife is a Chinese lady or a Malay also, it is no difference. People will ask for divorce because it is multiracial society nowadays. They all have their own sense of independence. But then again, ladies and gentlemen, even if I've done all my research, do not take everything that I say seriously. Because believe me, I'm not even married. But that's check.